Hello, everyone. I'm Adana. So, today, for my therapy, I would be doing retelling. So, I would try to demonstrate how to incorporate simple pictographs and story element stickers to promote students' retelling. Studies show that retelling actually helps with students' overall comprehension abilities, and it also helps them to connect text in a very personal way, and they see these connections with their own experiences. Um, it also helps with the overall expressive vocabulary of students. So I just love doing retelling because of all the things that I just spoke about. There are many different activities that you can do, um, that you can use to do retelling. I just like this particular way simply because it gives an additional visual prompt that I think really helps students. Um, Before beginning, what I do, or what I think the clinician should do, is to really assess the student's prior knowledge, just to identify whether or not they are familiar with the character, um, what what is the setting? Do they know what the setting is in the story? Do they know how to identify what the problem is? So really go in and assess these elements before beginning treatment. Once that is done, um, I would be, as a clinician, you would be doing like a model. So what I do, like the night before, I would prepare like a pictograph, very, very simple. I cannot draw. So I keep my drawings very simple. You do a very simple pictograph the night before or sometime before treatment. And then during treatment, you do like a personal narrative of a story. Um, so for instance, this is an example of a simple pictograph that I would use when doing my story. So you see, this is I call him Tom. Um, so one day, Tom decided to go fishing. That day was so beautiful. The water was calm, the birds were out, and the sun was also shining. Suddenly, he heard a loud noise. Before he knew it, a gigantic wave came. Tom was toppled from his boat. This same boat is what saved Tom's life, or something to that effect. So you use pictographs, or you do simple stories, and you have these pictographs to identify the main parts of the story. So once that is done, I then use my stickers. You can use any sticker. I just use a sticker with a person to identify the character. I use a house to identify the setting. I use a thumbs down to do like the problem. This would be like the feelings of the characters. And this would be like a wrap up. Or the conclusion. So once I say my personal narrative, I use now, and I have the pictographs. I use the story stickers that would help identify the elements of the story. So I would be placing these on, let's say, I would be placing the problem on the problem, which would be the wave. The wave would be the thing that would have come and toppled Tom's boat. um, I can use this as a conclusion. So I will put each of the stickers on the different parts of the story. Once that is finished, I would then have the student retell this narrative, my personal narrative. So I would show them the visual prompts, and then I will have the stickers on them, and then I would have them say or retell my personal narratives with both visuals, both the pictographs and the stickers. Once they're comfortable, I would then kind of phase out the pictograph and use just the stickers. So I would line up the stickers um, as it relates to how the story went, and then have them try to retell just using these stickers. Um, the next part of and this part of the treatment would be something that you would do and just continue with for practice until you feel that students are okay, they can retell a story and they're comfortable using not only the pictograph and the stickers, but just one of the visuals. Once that is once that part is finished, what I do is like a guided treatment now. So here you would encourage students to do their own personal narratives because what they did before was to just retell my narrative. So I would have students do their own personal narratives, um, and while they're doing their narratives, the clinicians can either draw the students' personal narratives, like in a simple pictograph, or have the students say their personal narratives and then have them draw a very simple pictograph when they're done. So you can do two things. Either you draw for them as they're saying their narratives, or you have them draw when they're finished. Once they're done with their narrative, you're going to do the same thing for them. You would have them use their pictographs or use your pictograph and then have them put the stickers on the different parts of the story. So that would represent, the main parts of the story. So you would have them put like the sticker for the character, the sticker for the setting, and then have them put them on each part of their pictograph. So again, this will be then phased out. So once they retell using both pictographs and using the story element stickers, you would want them to phase out the pictograph. So once they phase out the pictograph, just like before, they would then be using the story element stickers to help them as a guide to do a retell of their narrative. So the main purpose for this would be to have students feel comfortable to retell a story. There are several different benefits for this particular activity. It not only helps students with retelling, but I think especially for the second part of the activity where students are encouraged to tell their own personal narratives, I think that helps in a way that it creates, or it not creates, but it allows students to see that there's a particular structure when there is a narrative. Um, for instance, they have to identify, they have to know, oh, when I'm writing a story, there should be a character, there should be a setting. A good story is a story that includes these elements. So it helps them to see this and to organize their thoughts when speaking. Also, I think the added benefit of that would be that it would help with their writing. And this would be important for when students have their state exams and they have to write these essays. So this activity, I think, has multiple benefits. And that's one of the reasons why I always tend to go back to this activity. Also, for some clinicians, I know they don't prefer doing the personal narratives. So what you can do as a clinician is to use just very short narratives and or short passages. I'm sorry, short passages that students can use to do these retelling. Instead of them coming up with their own stories, you provide a passage for them, very simple passage, not too complex, and you have them use the picture. They don't necessarily have to use the pictographs, but they can use these story elements to identify the different parts of the story or the different elements of the story by placing their stickers on parts of the passage. So you're free to use passages, short passages, or you can just use the personal narratives as well. All right, thank you and I hope this is helpful for someone during therapy.